The Rookie of the Year is one of the most prestigious awards in any sport and can often be indicative of a star in the making. We've seen guys win this award and then go on to win MVPs and World Series not too long after, and offers a spotlight to the baby faces of the game that otherwise might have not gotten such attention. It highlights a player whose star burned brightest early in their career sometimes. Going through the list of winners in this award can provide some oh yeah and aha moments. Back in 2003, which is 20 years ago now, Jesus, the MLB world welcomed numerous young talents like Japanese slugger Hideki Matsui, World Series closer Brad Lidge, stolen base artist Jose Reyes, and future Cy Young winner Brandon Webb, not to mention future MVP winner Miguel Cabrera. But in this absolutely stacked rookie class, one guy took the spotlight front and center, a southpaw with perhaps the most unique wind-up baseball had seen in decades, a pitcher who was placed in the national spotlight of a World Series run at just 21 years old. Today, we're talking about the rise and fall of Dontrelle Willis and the legacy of his unreal rookie season. Guys, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video. Also, ring the bell for all future notifications. Willis was a Cali kid and absolutely dominated high school ball as a senior. Growing up, his favorite player was Oakland ace Dave Stewart. Little did he know, just a decade down the line, he'd become the first black pitcher to win 20 games in a season since Stewart himself. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Willis was drafted by the Cubs in the 8th round of the 2000 draft. He dominated at every level of the minors, rising from rookie ball to Double-A in just 2 seasons' time. Still, with the Cubs in a potential World Series window, they opted to make a win-now move, and the Cubs flipped him to the Marlins to acquire pitching help in Matt Clement. Willis would quickly blossom into one of the top pitchers in the National League. A 6-game losing streak to open May sunk the 2003 Marlins to a 15-21 record. With a depleted pitching staff, the Fish made the gutsy decision to call up Willis at just 21 years old, hoping he could be a spark plug of sorts. Willis tossed a quality start in his first MLB game against the Rockies, helping the Marlins to snap their losing skid and play 500 ball through the end of May. After a decent first month, Dontrelle completely turned things into another gear and dominated in June. He won Pitcher of the Month in June of 2003. This made him the first Marlins rookie in their brief history to win this award, and he won with plenty good reason. He tossed 34 innings with an ERA a hair above 1, including a 1-hit shutout against the Mets where he outdueled one of his childhood heroes, Tom Glavine. Of rookie pitchers in the wildcard era with 30 innings in a single month, Willis's 1.04 ERA ranks 4th best alongside first-year legends like Hideo Nomo. June also concluded a stretch of 7 consecutive wins for Willis, the first rookie starter to do so since Jason Isringhausen in 1995. And I'm sure the Cubs were looking at this and scratching their heads. The interesting thing is that Willis's stuff wasn't necessarily groundbreaking. He had a fastball that topped out in the low to mid 90s, a changeup that didn't offer much velocity change, and a slider and curveball. So he had a decent pitch mix, but his main thing going for him was his unorthodox windup. Willis's mechanics were hard to replicate and assisted him greatly in concealing his pitch and catching hitters off guard with his awkward timing.
I think when I was younger, I just wanted to come up with a style of my own. The only thing I come with was the leg kick. Becomes a part of you.
See, kids, this is key. Everyone got their mean faces? All right, now step and kick your leg up real high.
It worked efficiently at a young age while he was in the best physique of his career, but in later years, it'd come back to bite him. Willis's dominant first 2 months helped him make the All-Star team as a reserve, the second Marlins rookie ever to do so and the only rookie on either All-Star team that year. He suffered from a bit of inconsistency in August, but finished the year strong with a sub-3 ERA in 37 September innings. Not only did Willis rank incredibly well among all rookie pitchers, but he was among the best for pitchers regardless of rookie status as well. And while Willis was dealing on the mound, he was also a threat at the bottom of the Marlins lineup too. Pitchers won't have the chance to shine at the plate anymore, and that's probably for the best, but in his rookie year and throughout his entire career, Willis raked at the plate for pitcher standards. In 447 career plate appearances, he hit .244 and slugged .378 with 28 career extra base hits, including 6 triples somehow. Willis has almost twice as many home runs in his career as he does double plays, and he has more career RBI than sacrifice bunts. In a stacked rookie class including Willis's teammate and future MVP Miguel Cabrera, Brandon Webb, and Jose Reyes, it was Dontrelle Willis who came away with the National League Rookie of the Year award. But it should be noted that Willis's workload was heavy despite his young age, as the Marlins let him throw 100 pitches or more in 20 of his 27 starts that season. For rookies, he was top 5 in ERA, WAR, WHIP, strikeout percentage, strikeout to walk percentage, and fielding independent pitching. In terms of all National League pitchers, he was able to crack the top 10 for those last 3 statistics, and ranked overall well for major pitching categories. But the work wasn't finished after an All-Star nod and a Rookie of the Year victory. The Marlins were headed to the playoffs as the wildcard team for the second time in franchise history, and Willis was a big piece of their rotation at just 21 years old. Willis held the weight of the world on his shoulders as the Marlins gave him the nod to start a potentially series-clinching NLDS game against the Giants. It appeared at first that the rookie was up to the task, as he allowed just 1 earned run in 5 innings of work against a potent San Francisco lineup that featured the likes of Barry Bonds and Edgardo Alfonso. The wheels eventually came off in the 6th and pretty much ruined his game line, as the Giants rallied for 4 runs to tie the game. Luckily for Willis, he avoided the loss as the Marlins won a nail-biting 7-6 game to move on to the championship series. Things continued toward a downward trend in the NLCS though against the Cubs, as Willis was lit up in his Game 4 start. To add insult to injury, he was outdueled by Matt Clement, the same pitcher he was traded by the Cubs for a year prior. With that loss, the Marlins fell to a 3-1 deficit in the championship series, and it seemed as though the Cinderella run would be coming to an end. He was subsequently moved to the bullpen for the remainder of their run, but somehow, the Marlins prevailed again in an infamous series, including 2 improbable comebacks in both Game 6 and Game 7. In his first season in the big leagues, Dontrelle Willis had a chance to win a World Series, and he'd be trying to do so against the Yankees. Willis got accustomed to his new role pretty well. He tossed 3 2/3 innings of scoreless ball in 3 separate games against the Yankees in the World Series, including a crucial long relief outing in a 3-2 victory in Game 1. At the end of it all, the Marlins pulled off a miraculous run to their second World Series win in a 6-year span. The future looked incredibly bright, and for the years that followed right after, it appeared as though that path was intact.
Spring trainer said, if you guys win the World Series, I'm gonna buy you the biggest ring ever. And all of us looked around in the locker room like, dude, we're the Marlins. We're about to come in last place. And we shocked the world till this day, man. Every time I go back to South Florida and people see it, it's just surreal. I get goosebumps every time I see somebody in a championship. Doesn't matter what the sport is, I understand the hard work and sacrifice.
Willis kicked off the 04 season picking up right where he left off, winning each of his first 3 starts with 20 consecutive scoreless innings to open the season. But despite his strong start in April, his sophomore season would be a bit of a step backwards from his breakout rookie season. He saw both his strikeout and walk rates dip from his rookie year, and he didn't rank in the top 25 for MLB pitchers in any major pitching categories that season. But come next year, he was able to bounce back in a big way as his workload reached new heights. Willis once again opened his season with a bang, twirling consecutive complete game shutouts against division rivals in the Phillies and Nationals to open 2005. He won his second Pitcher of the Month award of his career in April of this season, winning all 5 of his starts with a 1.29 ERA and 35 dominant innings. In 10 of Willis's first 17 starts of the season, he threw 8 innings or more, tossing 2 more shutouts between the end of June and beginning of July. Through his first 17 starts of this season, he was second in the NL for ERA and left on base percentage, while also throwing the 5th most innings of anyone in the league. He made the All-Star team, losing out on the start to Chris Carpenter despite appearing as one of the frontrunners for the Cy Young halfway through the season. But after the All-Star break, Willis hit a bit of a wall going into the second half, losing 3 starts in a row heading out of the Midsummer Classic and stumbling through a rough July. Come August, he didn't allow more than 2 earned runs in any of his 6 starts, pitching to a 1.06 ERA in 42 innings. With another complete game in September, Willis totaled 22 wins and 7 complete games on the season, which is still the single-season record for any Marlins pitcher. Willis held a serious bid to take home the first Cy Young in Florida franchise history. He ranked highly among all National League pitchers and threw more complete games and shutouts than any Major League pitcher. He was first in wins above replacement, 4th in innings, 3rd in ERA, and then top 6 in fielding independent pitching, whip, and soft contact rate, while also leading the NL in home run per 9. He was also still raking at the plate for those wondering. He became the 3rd pitcher in MLB history with both 20 wins and 20 hits on a season, the first to do so since Mike Hampton in 1999. Despite a compelling case and 11 first-place votes, Willis finished as the runner-up to Chris Carpenter, who had less WAR, less wins, and a higher ERA. Still, with a winning season under their belt and Willis achieving his most impressive year yet, there was much reason for optimism around the Marlins. But for Willis, this would be as close to the Cy Young as he'd ever get. Willis took a step back in 2006, watching his season ERA balloon a full run with one of the highest hit per 9 rates in baseball due to his large volume. This was his second season in a row throwing over 220 innings, despite turning just 24 years old in this season. His best highlights of the season actually came as a hitter, where he was the first pitcher in 4 years to hit a grand slam, and later on added a 2-homer game in September. Willis was once again hampered by blow-up starts that offset his 4 complete games on the year, but he was still an above league average pitcher, the last season of his career where he was able to say that. He set a career high with 35 games started in 2007 and threw over 200 innings for the third year in a row, but this season would be by far the worst of his career to that point. From his 4th start of the season onward, he never saw his ERA dip below 4, walking 3 batters or more in half of his starts and allowing a home run in 2/3 of his starts. At season's end, he led the league in earned runs allowed. His aforementioned unique mechanics were beginning to become the reason why Willis was struggling. With less athleticism and a differing physique, his leg kick saw him lose a lot of fastball velocity and movement on his pitches. The Marlins saw this and made the ultimately difficult decision to deal him away, as he was packaged with Miguel Cabrera in a trade to the Tigers, where Florida got a haul of prospects in return. Willis's tenure in Detroit was forgettable, laboring through 2.5 injury-riddled seasons before getting traded again to the Diamondbacks, this time for a guy named Billy Buckner. No relation to Bill Buckner, weirdly enough. Willis shined in his first start with Arizona, but continued to struggle in the desert. By now, his average velocities dipped even further, with his fastball averaging about 88 miles per hour. He caught on with the Reds the following season and faltered again, in what would become his last stint in the big leagues at just 29 years old. A Rookie of the Year victory, a World Series title, and a runner-up finish in the Cy Young wouldn't be enough for Willis to last even a decade into his MLB career. His rise was meteoric, to put it simply, but the intense workload of his young, developing years in the show were likely his demise. Though he's become iconic in the brief history of the Marlins, it's a shame we couldn't have seen his star shine a bit longer. Still, Willis will forever be a memorable piece of 2000s baseball with his unforgettable windup and performances. And man, he tortured my Mets through his career. I'm gonna leave you guys with this. In 19 starts against my favorite team in his career, he was 11-3 with a 2.51 ERA, including 2 complete game shutouts and over 100 strikeouts. He absolutely tortured my Mets when I was growing up. So when I was growing up, I didn't like him as much as I do now, to put it simply. But looking back on it all, he's definitely one of the coolest pitchers of my childhood. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and now a word from today's sponsor.
DraftKings. Guys, baseball season is finally back in full swing. It's the moment we've all been waiting for. 6 months of glorious regular season baseball, and you can bet on it all right now at DraftKings with some special offers. Right now, if you bet $5 on any pregame moneyline bet and that bet cashes, you'll get $150 in bonus bets. You can use that bonus bet money, combine it into a same game parlay, like which team will win, one player to hit a home run, one player to record a certain amount of strikeouts, and you have a shot at an even bigger payout at the end of the day. So download the free and easy to use DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code OLIVE, OLIVE, bet $5 on a pregame moneyline bet, and if that bet cashes, you'll get $150 in bonus bets instantly, only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details, and also any resources you might need for a gambling addiction or gambling help are listed in my description right down there below. Thank you to DraftKings for sponsoring today's video. I'll see you guys next time.
Did you